All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to crack open the case on the devices we use literally every single day. We're talking about computer hardware, the actual physical magic that makes our digital world tick.
I mean, really, have you ever just stopped and thought about it? What is actually going on inside that laptop or your phone? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on that magic box and meet the heroes working inside. So, first things first, what even is hardware? It's simple, really. It's all the parts of a computer you can physically touch. So, forget about the software and the apps for a minute. Think of hardware as the actual bricks and beams that build your entire digital castle. Now, probably the best way to get our heads around how all these parts work together is to use a simple analogy. For this, we're going to think of a computer just like a human body, starting with its brain and its skeleton. Okay, so here's our roadmap. We're going to look at the CPU as the brain, the motherboard as the skeleton, RAM as short-term memory, and so on. This simple idea is going to help us see how everything connects and does its job. Let's kick things off with the absolute star of the show, the big boss of the whole operation, the CPU, which stands for Central Processing Unit. This tiny little chip is, without a doubt, one of the most important parts in the entire system. Yep, the CPU is the computer's brain. It takes in all the instructions, it crunches all the numbers, and it basically directs traffic, telling every other component what to do and when to do it. And just how fast is this brain? Well, it's unbelievably fast. Modern CPUs can perform billions, that's billions with a B, of calculations every single second. It's what makes everything from streaming a movie to playing a game feel instant and smooth. So if the CPU is the brain, then you can think of the motherboard as the skeleton and the entire nervous system all rolled into one. It's this big circuit board that literally holds everything together and lets all the different parts talk to each other. Okay, so we have our brain and our skeleton. Let's talk about how a computer remembers things, because it actually has two totally different kinds of memory, one for what's happening right now and one for the long haul. First, we've got RAM, or random access memory. Think of this as the computer's temporary workspace. It's super fast memory that holds all the data for the apps and tabs you have open right this second. And the most important thing about RAM is that it's temporary. It really is like your own short-term memory. You know how you might forget a phone number right after you dial it? Well, RAM forgets everything as soon as you turn the power off. So if your computer ever gets really sluggish when you have a ton of stuff open, that's your RAM just trying to keep up. More RAM lets you juggle more tasks at once. All right, time for a quick pop quiz, just to see if you're following along. Based on our body analogy, what's the CPU most like? Is it the heart, the brain, or the feet? Go ahead and lock in your answer. And the answer is B, the brain. It's the part that does all the thinking. Nice work. Okay, so what about the memory that doesn't forget everything? Well, that brings us to long-term storage. This is where your computer keeps all your files, your photos, your games, everything that needs to stick around. For a long time, computers used hard disk drives, or HDDs, which are basically tiny, fast record players with spinning disks. But now, the standard is the solid-state drive, or SSD, and because it has zero moving parts, it is way, way faster. That's what lets your computer boot up in just a few seconds. So we've got a brain, a skeleton, and both kinds of memory. But how does a computer see things, perform special skills, and, stay alive? Well, that's where these next few parts come in. Let's do a quick run-through. First up, the GPU, or Graphics Processing Unit. Think of this as the computer's own dedicated artist, drawing all the incredible visuals for your games and videos. Then you've got the power supply. That's the heart, pumping just the right amount of juice to every single part. And finally, you have peripherals. These are the computer's senses and limbs, your keyboard, your mouse, your screen, everything that lets you actually interact with it. And here's the thing that's so important to get. None of these parts work alone. They're a team, a complex, interconnected system. And it's that amazing collaboration that powers not just our devices, but our connection to the entire world. A really fun way to actually visualize how this all fits together is to build a little model. If you just get a cardboard box and some paper cutouts for the parts, you can get a real hands-on sense of how these separate pieces come together to make a working machine. So what are the big takeaways here? If you remember three things, make it these. 1. Hardware is the physical stuff, the foundation. 2. Every single part has a very specific and vital job, just like the organs in a body. And 3. It's the teamwork between all those parts that creates the magic we use every day. So, we've unpacked the magic box and we've met the heroes inside. And that really just leaves us with one final thought. Now that you know what the building blocks are, what kind of new hardware could you dream up?